Corn Cousins, this is Mitch, your World of Fabricator at kettlecornsupplies.com. And finally, after years of thinking about it and other years of customers calling me and begging for it, I finally came up with my version of the auto popcorn stir unit. And what I did, I didn't invent this, but I kind of did because I had to reinvent the wheel. I had customers tell me what they liked about their products that they had heard, looked at, seen, and purchased before. And they told me what the good parts were, they told me what the bad parts were, they told me, and I've also seen them. So what I did is I analyzed everything out there that I could see, decided where I thought the improvements could be made, and this is what I've got. So I will still be improving on this, because that's just what I do. But there's a couple things that I did I want to show you that's different about everybody else's. So let me grab the camera. Now right now it's sitting on my least expensive unit, which is the Kettle Corn Supplies original model. You'll notice it's a little more square than most of my models. This is the least expensive one. But what I've got here is, you'll notice the box is a little rounder. And I like that. I just don't like making things just basically cut off square. Yes, it would be quicker, but it's really important to me that everything look as good and artsy as possible. Customers like it. They think your unit's better. There's just a psychological thing there where people understand that when you have something that looks good, everything you pull out of that unit is going to probably taste better too. Now, a couple of things I noticed with my competitors is they were using some plastic pieces here. I use metal so it can't get hot and melt. And it sticks really good, holds that aluminum lid just fine. Got some stainless steel hinges here. Now, the most important thing here, the thing I think is going to be that sets me apart from everything else. One, you'll notice a huge area void here, which allows a lot of air ventilation to come through. It keeps the heat away from the motor over here. Now, not only do I have a port here so you can get to the auger and with an Allen wrench and take that off or on or adjust it or tighten it, but it gives a little bit of an air gap there so that you have less heat coming into the motor box that could potentially affect the motor. Now, I was real insistent when I got this motor, when I talked to the people who make the motor, that it'd be high resistant to heat. And they assured me that it was. We don't get a ton of heat, especially on the original here, because a lot of heat comes from around it. But the oil has to pop the popcorn has to be at 300 degrees. So by the time it gets to the top, you're not getting 300 degrees, but you might be getting 150 degrees, and that's important. So to keep this thing cooler and under 150 degrees, you'll notice here this kind of gray looking coating in here. This gray coating is actually the same coating they put on the NASA space shuttle and some of the NASA space program stuff. It actually has little tiny beads. If you were to put your finger on this, it feels like I put sand in the paint. Well, it's really not sand, it's actually ceramic beads, and one coat is R29, yes, R29 insulation value. Now, I've probably got about 2 coats on this, so I'm not saying it has R60, but you know, it's probably R40. I also paint the underside of this with the coating. I also paint the underside of this box. I also paint the inside of the box and the lid as well. So I've got at least 2 or 3 coatings all the way around this thing to help keep the heat from coming up and entering the box. So what that essentially means here is that while it may not be so cold to the touch like it is right now, what it does is it's kind of like when you have your house. Let's say you live in Arizona and it's 110 degrees outside. You forgot to turn the air conditioner and you walk into your house and it initially feels cool because it's insulated, but it's still 95 degrees. It's still hot. You got to put the air conditioner on, right? Well, it's kind of the same thing here. Yeah, you got 300 degrees at the bottom. By the time it gets to the top through the popcorn, it's probably 150. You get to 150 here. This is going to eventually warm up to 150 if you're using it a lot. But with the ceramic coating on it, you could probably keep it between, 80, 90, maybe 100 degrees. You still don't want to touch it with bare hands. You might be able to on a hot day, even if there wasn't any popping going on. You know, you got metal in the hot sun, you touch it, it's going to be warm, right? But with the ceramic coating, that'll help keep that temperature down. So, other features that I've got here that I want to point out to you is you'll notice that this switch that I'm using is not your typical rocker arm switch. That's one thing I actually used. I had a toggle switch as well, and I crossed some wires wrong, and it melted the unit. And I thought, okay, I can't have anything melting. And if it melted that quickly, and an accident, a customer could have an accident and melt it too. So I made this out of metal. Or I didn't make it, but I bought this one and it's metal. This costs like 3 or 4 times more than the other switches that I was using or considering. Now, that right there is 62 RPMs. I thought perhaps it might be a little fast, but actually I think it looks really good. Let's take a look, see here what it looks like on the inside. Now, most of the augers that I've seen from my competitors, they just have one bent 1/4 inch tube. Actually, it's a bar that goes around here. It just basically gets above this little bulge, and it's one loop. Well, that means that there's a gap between the contour of this bulb. So what I did is I took the time to match the contour of the bulb. You still have about a popcorn kernel's width there between the top of the bowl, or the bottom of the bowl, and the bottom of the auger. But what I did is I matched it perfectly. And now not only is it not a 1/4 inch tube, this is the 3/8 tubing, and it's a little stiffer. Most of them also do not have this cross support here. I put the cross support in. Yes, it costing me a little bit more much, and I'm still within the same price range I wanted to be, but I just don't like to let stuff out when I know there's a problem that could potentially come up. So this is a lot stiffer. I literally think you could probably put, you know, flour and make some batter in this thing. It's got a lot of torque. It'll turn really quite well. Now, I also have an access port. You really can't see the auger very well, but you can get in there and tighten the Allen screw that's in there to tighten it or loosen it or remove it, and you got access on both sides of it. Also, these are, again, like I said, these are not plastic, these are metal, so that I'm reducing all the potential for melting stuff. The cord here is conduit. I got 8 to 12 feet, depending on what you want, of conduit covering the wire. And you also get a fusible, you get a fusible link here. So cross something out, it'll short out rather than mess up your battery or burn a cell out. So just a lot of little features like that. Now, being that I'm talking about or showing you the batteries, when you buy this, you're going to have to get a couple of batteries. You need one at least, but it's always good to have a backup. Now, I've got a rider lawnmower, so I have a bunch of these things laying around the shop. For some reason, the unsaid people who like to mow my lawn, kids, like to leave the switch on. And so I'm constantly burning motors out, or not burning them, but draining the batteries down. So I always have a backup, plus I have a motorcycle that needs a battery charger as well. So everybody should have a battery charger. Whether you even have a popper or not, it's a good thing to have around just in case you leave the lights on in your car. So you're going to have to get a battery and a charger, preferably 2 batteries and a charger. And then you'll be all set. Well, let me see, what else can I tell you about the new product here? I'm going to do a pop here in just a bit and show you how it works actually popping popcorn. But this is going out to our Kettle Corn cousin out in Kansas, Kettle Corn cousin Kansas. There we go. But let's just turn this thing on one more time just so you can have a look-see. I like doing that. You know, when you reinvent the wheel, you think it would be easy, but it took me a lot of work and trial and error to come up with this, and I think we got you a really good product. Of course, I'm a little bit biased, but I think it's better than anything out there. The thing I like about this thing is you'll notice that since it's not a rocker like a switch on a house, you don't have to turn it off and on. If it's on, you just smack it. Just pull it out, you can smack it. You're not going to worry about messing up the switch. Get in a hurry, I like that part. Okay, so put the camera back here for a second, say goodbye, and then I'm going to make another video popping it. So look for that. Well, thank you. Thanks for taking your time and checking out my new product. I'm sure you're going to love it. pop lots, and be mighty. See you later, Kettle Corn cousins. Alrighty.